Listen closely, because what I'm about to tell you will not feel gentle. It will feel like truth reaching into the deepest part of your spirit, touching the place you try to hide even from yourself. Here it is. You are being trained for a destiny far bigger than anything you've ever imagined. And the signs have been surrounding you long before you had the language to name them. You didn't stumble into this message. You were drawn here pulled by a divine gravity that refuses to let you settle for a life smaller than the one you were created for. And if you've been feeling stretched, tested, shaken, stripped, isolated, or even misunderstood, that is not random. That is not punishment. That is not coincidence. It is training, wholly intentional, heaven-orchestrated training for a purpose your mind has not yet fully grasped. You think you're surviving a difficult season, but heaven sees you in formation. You think you're walking through confusion, but heaven sees you being sharpened. You think you're losing what you need, but heaven is removing what would have held you back from where you're going. There are moments in life when God doesn't just call you, He begins to shape you. And shaping never feels comfortable. Shaping never feels convenient. Shaping never feels predictable. Instead, it creates pressure where there used to be ease, silence, where there used to be clarity and internal transformation, where the world sees nothing changing at all. Yet, here is the mystery: the greater the destiny, the deeper the training. If your life has felt unusually intense, if your spirit has felt like it's being stirred awake, if your heart has sensed that something is shifting in the unseen, you are not imagining it. You are being prepared. Prepared for doors you don't even know exist yet. Prepared for opportunities your old self could never carry. Prepared for battles your future self will win with authority. Prepared for influence that requires wisdom, humility, and spiritual maturity. And while you may not understand the fullness of what God is doing, something inside you knows this: you are being changed. Not lightly, not casually, but deeply, intentionally, purposefully. In a few moments, I'm going to reveal the 12 signs that prove God is training you for a destiny bigger than you realize. But before we list anything, you need to hear this truth settling into your soul. You are not in a strange season. You are in a divine classroom. You are not being broken. You are being built. You are not being abandoned. You are being assigned. And once you see the signs clearly, everything about your journey, every battle, every silence, every stretching, will suddenly make sense. And as this truth settles deeper into your spirit, something begins to rise within you. A quiet recognition that what is happening in your life is not accidental, not chaotic, not meaningless. There is a divine intelligence behind every shift, every delay, every challenge, every moment where you felt stretched beyond what you believed you could carry. Whether you realized it or not, heaven has been moving with intention around you. God has been orchestrating a process that reaches further than your present understanding. Because when God trains someone, He does not start on the outside. He begins in the hidden places: your thoughts, your habits, your patterns, your reactions, your desires. He begins in the subtle stirrings you can't fully articulate, in the hunger you can't ignore, in the discomfort that keeps nudging you out of who you used to be. And even if you've doubted it, even if you've questioned it, even if you've wondered whether God has gone silent, He has been closer than your breath, guiding you with a precision you may only recognize in hindsight. There are moments when God withdraws the familiar so you can learn to follow His voice. There are seasons when He reduces your options so you discover the path He intended all along. And there are times when He allows pressure not to break you, but to awaken the authority He planted in you long before you knew how to use it. The weight you feel is not the weight of defeat. It is the weight of calling. The stretching you feel is not the stretching of loss. It is the stretching of capacity. The silence you feel is not abandonment. It is the silence of a teacher watching a student evolve. This message is not just information. This is confirmation. This is insight into what your spirit has sensed, but your mind has struggled to interpret. This is your reminder that God has been speaking even through circumstances you did not understand. And understand this clearly, God never prepares someone for small things. When He begins to train you intentionally, it is always because something significant is on the horizon. You are being molded for influence that requires maturity, for assignments that require discernment, for elevation that requires strength, for impact that requires depth. God is not training you to return to who you used to be. He is training you to rise into who you were always meant to become. And even now, as you listen, something inside you is awakening the part of you that recognizes divine preparation. The part of you that remembers you were chosen before you were born. The part of you that knows destiny is not built in comfort, but in surrender, obedience, refinement, and courage. The part of you that knows God does not waste seasons. You may not see the full picture yet, but the one who holds your future sees every step with clarity. He sees your struggle and your strength, your wounds and your wisdom, your breaking points and your breakthroughs. And through all of it, He has been whispering, guiding, shaping, and calling you upward. In a moment, we will step into the unveiling, the deeper revelation behind what you've been experiencing. But first, hold this truth tightly. You are not walking through this season alone. Heaven is involved. Purpose is unfolding. And God Himself is preparing you for something bigger than your mind has dared to imagine. And as you breathe in the weight of that truth, something begins to clarify in your spirit, because the moment God begins to train someone, He does not hide His intention forever. He reveals it piece by piece, whisper by whisper, pressure by pressure, until the pattern becomes undeniable. What you've been feeling, facing, and fighting has not been random turbulence. It has been prophetic alignment. Your life has been shifting in ways you can sense but cannot fully explain. And now the veil is lifting, so you can finally see the deeper meaning behind it all. The prophecy is simple, yet profound. God is preparing you for a destiny that requires a stronger, wiser, more spiritually grounded version of you. Every experience you've passed through has been a lesson wrapped in disguise. Every delay has been a setup for greater acceleration. Every closed door has been divine protection, steering you toward what is truly meant for you. Every internal tug, every moment of restlessness, every spiritual awakening has been a signal that your future is enlarging, expanding, unfolding. You have been feeling the shift long before you had the words to name it. A subtle discontent with what once felt normal. A desire for deeper meaning, deeper purpose, deeper connection with God. A realization that certain environments, relationships, or habits no longer fit who you are becoming. The sense that life is pushing you somewhere, even if you're not sure where. This is not instability. It is initiation. When God trains you, He begins removing what cannot go with you. Not because you are losing, but because you are transitioning. He strips away dependence on things that once comforted you. He challenges the beliefs that once limited you. He disrupts the cycles that kept you small. And though you may wrestle with the unfamiliar, your spirit knows this is sacred work. You may have noticed unusual spiritual sensitivity lately. Discernment, sharpening intuition, heightening your awareness of God's presence, intensifying. This is because your spirit is being calibrated to carry greater responsibility. God will never elevate you into a position your character cannot sustain. So He strengthens you before He sends you. He prepares you before He promotes you. And this preparation is not gentle, because your destiny is not ordinary. It is not quick, because your calling is not shallow. It is not simple, because your influence is not temporary. You are being forged, refined, stretched, expanded, prepared for something bigger than you've allowed yourself to believe. The prophecy over your life is not that you will simply survive. It is that you will lead impact, transform, and rise. That you will walk into places where your presence shifts the atmosphere. That you will carry wisdom beyond your years and strength beyond your history. That you will become a vessel through which God moves with precision and power. This process is not about making you strong for the sake of strength. It's about aligning you with a destiny that requires spiritual maturity, emotional resilience, and unwavering faith. God is building endurance in you because the path ahead requires it. He is deepening your roots so your branches can grow wide. He is polishing your gifts so your purpose can shine without distortion. And as you listen, something within you is remembering who you are. Not the version others misunderstood, underestimated, or mishandled, but the version heaven has always known. The version that was called before you were formed. The version prepared for this moment. In a few moments, we will walk through the 12 signs that this prophecy is active in your life right now. But before we do, allow this truth to steady your heart. Everything you've experienced has been part of a divine pattern. Nothing has been wasted. Nothing has been accidental. Nothing has been outside of God's hand. You are being trained for a destiny larger than your present sight. And heaven has already seen you walk in it. And as this revelation settles deeper into you, the spiritual meaning behind your journey becomes clearer, because God never trains you without purpose, and He never allows a season without spiritual strategy woven into its fabric. Everything He has done in your life, every challenge He has permitted, every stirring He has initiated, has carried spiritual weight. You have not just been living. You have been evolving under divine supervision. When God prepares someone for a destiny greater than their understanding, He follows patterns seen throughout Scripture, patterns seen in the lives of those who were called before they were ready, patterns seen in the transformation of those who carried an assignment too large for their original selves. Think of Joseph trained through betrayal. Think of David trained in fields no one valued. Think of Esther trained through obscurity. Think of Moses trained through wilderness silence. Through all these stories, a truth emerges. God trains greatness in solitude long before He reveals it in public. Your story is no different. The moments where you felt overlooked were not signs of insignificance. They were signs of incubation. God often hides what He is developing, so no premature hand can sabotage it. The seasons where doors didn't open were not moments of delay. They were divine timing, protecting what needed more growth. The times you felt spiritually restless were not indications of instability. They were holy signals that God was pulling you out of old identity structures so He could reveal a truer version of you. There is a spiritual law at work in your life. God removes before He releases, He stretches before He strengthens, and He tests before He trusts. Not as punishment, but as preparation. You have been in a cycle of refinement because what God is building in you must be able to withstand pressure. The destiny assigned to you requires wisdom shaped by experience, compassion shaped by pain, strength shaped by endurance, and discernment shaped by quiet places where His voice becomes clearer than your own thoughts. And though the process has been intense, your spirit understands something your mind has not yet fully translated. This is sacred training. This is not random hardship. This is not emotional chaos. This is not spiritual confusion. This is God constructing a foundation within you that will not crumble when influence increases. This is God training your ears to recognize His whisper, so you cannot be deceived by noise. This is God teaching your heart to release what was never meant to define you, so your identity rests in Him alone. This is God positioning you so that when the doors open, because they will open, you will not sabotage the blessing that waits on the other side. Your life carries a weight that others cannot see, a spiritual fingerprint that heaven recognizes. And because of that, God has invested deeply in your development. He has not kept you in a holding pattern. He has kept you in preparation. He has not abandoned you. He has been teaching you. He has not forgotten you. He has been forming you. And this formation is not only about destiny, it is also about intimacy. God trains those He loves. He shapes those He chooses. He refines those He trusts with impact. The very intensity of your journey proves that you are not average, not overlooked, not forgotten. You are being positioned for something extraordinary. In just a moment, we will step into the 12 signs that this divine training is active in your life right now. But before we move forward, hold on to this deeper truth. Your spirit has already begun walking toward the future God has prepared. And every step you've taken, even the painful ones, has been part of His design. And now, as the revelation settles into place, the signs begin to surface, clear, unmistakable indicators that God has been training you for a destiny larger than your current perspective can fully comprehend. These signs are not random experiences. They are spiritual fingerprints marking your preparation. And as you hear them, something inside you will recognize the truth you've been living, but could not yet articulate. 1. You feel a deep inner restlessness even when life seems stable. It's as if your spirit knows you were created for more than what surrounds you. Nothing satisfies you the way it used to. You can feel destiny pulling at you, urging you to rise, even when nothing external explains why. 2. The familiar no longer fits, and old environments feel spiritually tight. It's not that they changed, you did. The version of you God is shaping cannot breathe in places that once felt comfortable. You feel the subtle pressure to step out of what you've outgrown. 3. People who were never meant for your future begin drifting away. Some leave gently, some abruptly, some painfully. But each departure, no matter how confusing, is part of divine alignment. God removes access before He releases elevation. 4. You've been experiencing unusual spiritual sensitivity. Discernment is sharpening. You sense things before they happen. You feel shifts in the atmosphere. You recognize intentions without explanation. Your spirit is being trained to see beyond the surface. 5. You are facing battles that feel disproportionate to your current level. The warfare around you doesn't match your environment because it matches your destiny. Hell always fights the future version of you, not the present one. 6. You are being pushed into uncomfortable growth. God keeps placing you in situations that stretch your patience, faith, humility, courage, or self-control. It feels like pressure, but it's actually spiritual muscle building. 7. You feel isolated even around people. Not lonely, set apart, misunderstood, different. You sense that God has you in a personal training season where fewer voices can reach you because He wants His voice to become the loudest. 8. Doors that once opened easily now require spiritual maturity to walk through. There is no more coasting, no more shortcuts. God is building strategy in you. He is teaching you to move with wisdom instead of impulse. 9. You are confronting old wounds and patterns you thought were behind you, not to punish you, but to free you. God is excavating what would sabotage your future so it cannot follow you into your assignment. 10. Your character is being refined through situations that test your heart. Your reactions, motives, and integrity are being shaped. You are learning to respond from wisdom instead of emotion, from faith instead of fear. 11. You sense a calling rising inside you, even if you cannot define it yet. A quiet knowing, a pull toward purpose, a feeling that something sacred is unfolding. You may not know the path, but you know there is one. 12. You are being drawn closer to God in ways you cannot explain. Your hunger for Him has increased. Your awareness of Him feels stronger. Your dependence on Him has deepened. This is not coincidence. This is training from the One who called you. And as these signs resonate within you, a picture begins to form. Your spirit has been in divine preparation long before your mind realized it. You are not imagining your transformation. You are not misreading your journey. You are not overthinking the shifts around you. Every sign is heaven's confirmation that God has enrolled you in a season of intentional development. You have been chosen for something weighty, and God is ensuring you are ready to carry it. In a moment, we will go deeper into the hidden challenges that come with this kind of preparation. Challenges you may not have understood until now. Challenges that reveal just how intentional God has been with your life. And when you begin to recognize these signs, something else becomes clear. The challenges you've been facing were never random obstacles. They were tailored elements of your training. God uses difficulty the way a master sculptor uses pressure, not to destroy the stone, but to reveal what was hidden inside it all along. But before you could understand the glory of your preparation, you had to walk through the parts that felt confusing, heavy, and unexplainable. One of the greatest hidden challenges is the emotional weight you've carried. There were days when you felt stretched beyond what you thought you could endure, when your heart felt too tired to keep believing, when the silence around you felt louder than any guidance you hoped to hear. But this emotional tension was not meant to break you. It was designed to strengthen the spiritual core you'd need for where God is taking you. Destiny requires emotional resilience, and God builds that resilience not in moments of ease, but in seasons of discomfort. Another challenge is the internal conflict you've been experiencing, the wrestling between who you used to be and who you're becoming. You feel pieces of your old identity falling away. Old desires, old habits, old reactions, old versions of yourself that cannot carry the weight of your future. And while the transformation feels essential, it also feels disorienting at times. You are grieving the familiar while reaching toward the unknown. But this internal stretching is part of God enlarging your capacity. Then there's the challenge of spiritual silence. You prayed, you waited, you listened, and sometimes God said nothing. Not because He was absent, but because He was teaching you to trust His presence more than His explanations. Silence is one of God's greatest classrooms. It is in silence that your faith matures. Your discernment sharpens, and your dependence on Him grows deeper than emotion or circumstance. Another hidden challenge has been the rise of opposition. You've noticed resistance, increasing misunderstandings, spiritual attacks, sudden obstacles. But what felt like warfare was actually confirmation you've become a threat to the plans of darkness. God has been teaching you how to fight battles aligned with your destiny. The attacks were never proof of your weakness. They were proof of your assignment. Lastly, one of the most difficult challenges has been the feeling of being pulled away from what once defined you. Relationships shifted, priorities changed, your emotional landscape transformed. You've been undergoing separation not as punishment, but as protection. God has been safeguarding your growth by removing influences that would have limited the next version of you. These challenges, though painful, have been deeply purposeful. And now as you look back, you can trace the pattern. Every struggle strengthened you, every silence shaped you, every delay positioned you, every loss taught you, and every battle refined you. You are not being crushed, you are being crafted. You are not being tested, you are being trusted. You are not being punished, you are being prepared. And now that you understand the challenges, we move into the heart of transformation. The divine instructions God whispers to those He is shaping for greatness. And now that your eyes have begun to open to the depth of this preparation, something else becomes clear. God never trains you without giving you instruction. Not always loud, not always obvious, but always precise. His guidance often comes in whispers, convictions, nudges, and subtle shifts in your spirit, because he is shaping you from within long before he reveals anything externally. And in this season of preparation, there are specific instructions he is placing on your heart. The first instruction is to release what you know so you can receive what he knows. You cannot carry old assumptions, old limitations, or old versions of yourself into a destiny that requires spiritual agility. God is asking you to loosen your grip on the familiar, not because it was bad, but because it cannot take you where you are going. Your mind must stretch. Your faith must expand. Your heart must make room for a future that looks nothing like your past. The second divine instruction is to listen more deeply, not to noise, not to opinions, not to fear, but to his voice. God is training your spiritual ears to discern the difference between external pressure and internal guidance. When he speaks, it may not sound dramatic. Sometimes it will come as a sudden clarity, a shift in your desires, a conviction to move, or a peace that doesn't match your circumstances. He's teaching you to recognize him in subtlety, so that when the calling becomes loud, you will not be confused. The next instruction is to steward your character with intentionality. You are being trusted with influence, and influence requires emotional maturity. God is asking you to practice patience, integrity, humility, and discipline, not as religious duties, but as spiritual armor. Your destiny will elevate you, but your character will sustain you. The refining you feel is not punishment. It is God strengthening the foundation of who you are becoming. Another instruction is to embrace stillness even when your mind wants answers. In training seasons, God may not reveal the full path, but he will reveal the next step. He's teaching you that clarity is not always a flood. Sometimes it is a single drop. Stillness reminds you that you are guided, not abandoned. You are led, not left. You are in process, not lost. Then comes the instruction to protect your environment. God is revealing who can walk with you and who cannot. Not everyone deserves access to the version of you he's building. He wants you to guard your peace, your focus, your energy, your anointing. This is not isolation, it is refinement of your circle. Another instruction is to prepare inwardly for what you prayed for outwardly. Destiny requires readiness. If God placed a dream in your heart, he's now inviting you to develop the habits, skills, discipline, and spiritual depth to uphold it. He's asking you to align your daily life with the magnitude of your future. Finally, there is a simple but profound instruction: trust him even when the way feels unclear. You are not being led in circles, you are being led in stages. You may not know the destination, but the one guiding you does. And his plan is never late, never rushed, never mistaken. Hold these instructions closely because they are shaping the person who will carry the blessing. Now we step into the reassurance your soul has been waiting for, the reminder that even in the stretching, even in the silence, even in the pressure, you are protected. And as these instructions settle gently into your spirit, there is something God wants you to feel, not just understand, but truly feel you are protected in this process. The stretching may have been intense. The silence may have been heavy. The battles may have felt relentless, but not for a single moment were you walking through any of it alone. Heaven has been surrounding you, even in the moments you felt most vulnerable. God has been your shield long before you recognized the arrows aimed at you. There were attacks that never reached you because he intercepted them. There were traps you never fell into because he redirected your steps. There were people removed from your life because their presence would have weakened your purpose. You may not have seen the danger, but God saw it, and he guarded you with a precision only divine love can demonstrate. And even now in this season of training, his protection is not lessened, it is increased. Because the closer you move toward destiny, the more valuable you become in the spiritual realm. And the more valuable you become, the more heaven surrounds you. You are not fragile, you are fortified. You are not exposed, you are covered. You are not wandering, you are being guided with intention. There were nights when your heart felt heavy, and yet peace found you. There were days when worry tried to overwhelm you, and yet strength rose within you. There were moments when confusion clouded your mind, and yet clarity returned at the right time. This was not coincidence. This was God's hand holding you steady. He has been whispering to your spirit, "Do not fear. I am with you." And even when you questioned whether you were truly hearing Him, His presence never left. His comfort surrounded you. His grace sustained you. His love carried you when your strength was gone. Understand this deeply. The battles you faced were not signs of God's absence. They were signs of your assignment. If there was no calling on your life, the warfare would have been unnecessary. The pressure you endured was not proof that you were failing. It was evidence that heaven was investing in you. And now, as you continue stepping into your training, God wants you to walk with confidence, not in yourself, but in Him. You are not navigating this season by accident. You are not exposed to danger without protection. You are not walking blindly through uncertainty. You are being carried through a divine process where every step has purpose and every challenge has covering. Let this assurance anchor your soul. You are protected. You are surrounded. You are chosen. And nothing formed against you will interrupt what God is preparing you to become. With that assurance in place, you are ready to see the transformation awaiting you when this preparation reaches fulfillment. And as the truth of God's protection settles into you, something begins to shift, not around you, but within you. Because every season of divine training has a moment when the transformation becomes visible, undeniable, and powerful. You begin to see the person you are becoming, and the mirror no longer reflects who you once were. This is the quiet emergence of fulfillment, the unfolding of a destiny that has been maturing beneath the surface. You may not notice it at first. Transformation rarely announces itself loudly. It shows up in the way you respond differently to what used to break you. It appears in the peace that remains even when circumstances fluctuate. It emerges in the clarity you begin to carry, the discernment that sharpens the courage that rises when fear tries to call your name. Your transformation becomes evident when you realize that the battles which once intimidated you now reveal your authority. What overwhelmed you before now becomes an opportunity to demonstrate the strength God built within you. What you used to avoid, you now confront, not recklessly, but confidently, because you have learned who stands beside you. As the training continues, your identity begins to align with your calling. You carry yourself differently, not with pride, but with quiet spiritual certainty. You begin to walk with purpose rather than drifting with circumstance. You speak with intention rather than reacting from emotion. You choose peace over chaos, wisdom over impulse, obedience over convenience. And then destiny starts opening in ways you could not fabricate on your own. The right people begin appearing. The right opportunities begin aligning. The right doors begin swinging open, not because you forced them, but because you were prepared to walk through them. This is the moment when you realize everything God removed, everything He refined, everything He rebuilt was for this. Your transformation makes room for fulfillment. You become capable of carrying influence without losing yourself, handling responsibility without breaking, walking in purpose without forgetting the one who shaped you for it. You begin to understand why the training was so precise, why the challenges were so personal, why the silence was so necessary. God was not delaying you. He was developing you. And fulfillment doesn't just manifest in external outcomes. It blossoms internally. You begin to feel aligned, centered, connected to your purpose in a way that feels natural, not forced. You realize you're no longer trying to become, you are becoming. You are stepping into the version of yourself that God saw long before you knew such a version existed. And eventually there comes a moment, quiet but profound, when you realize that you are no longer waiting for destiny to begin. You are walking in it. Every step you take carries intention. Every decision reflects maturity. Every prayer holds clarity. Every movement feels guided by the one who trained you for this very path. This is the fulfillment of divine preparation. You become a living expression of the destiny God designed for you. And now, as we approach the final section, it is time to seal this message with affirmation and blessing words meant to strengthen your spirit and empower your next steps. And now, as this journey of revelation draws to a close, let these final words settle into the deepest part of your spirit. You have not been wandering. You have not been delayed. You have not been overlooked. You have been in training, wholly intentional, divinely guided training for a destiny bigger than anything you imagined. So receive these affirmations spoken over you with prophetic clarity. You are rising into the fullness of who God created you to be. You are stepping out of the limitations that once confined you. You are walking into purpose with strength, confidence, and wisdom. You are protected, surrounded, and upheld by God's unfailing presence. You are not who you were. You are who you are becoming. Your calling is unfolding. Your spirit is awakening. Your destiny is approaching with divine precision. Every battle sharpened you. Every season shaped you. Every silence matured you. Every test strengthened you. Nothing in your journey was wasted. And now may the blessing of God rest upon you. May your steps be guided with supernatural clarity. May your heart be anchored in peace that surpasses understanding. May your spirit remain sensitive to His voice and steady in His direction. May courage rise within you like fire. May wisdom accompany you in every decision. May protection surround you like a shield. And may the destiny waiting for you unfold in its perfect appointed time. You are not finished. You are not behind. You are not disqualified. You are being prepared for greatness, and heaven is cheering for your becoming. If this message spoke to you, take a moment to breathe, reflect, and acknowledge what resonated. And when you're ready, I invite you to comment below. I am being trained for my destiny. If you want more prophetic messages, guidance, and deep spiritual insight, make sure you subscribe, like, and turn on notifications so you never miss what God wants to speak into your life. Your journey is unfolding. Your purpose is rising. And God is not finished with you yet.